Alright, what's going on, everyone? I'm back here again with another video, and this one I've actually been wanting to do for a bit, but I totally forgot what this guy's name was. But I remember seeing a few videos floating around of this guy way back when, and I'm like, I kind of want to do a video on this just to, shed some light on a few things, and, just to kind of spread awareness a little bit too, with people that have been victims of things like these before. And I totally forgot about this guy. I didn't know what his name was. I tried searching him up on YouTube for a while. I couldn't find any of the videos or anything like that, but I just discovered through a few YouTube channels who this guy was, and I guess his name was Patrick Macchione. And he was stalking this one girl. I think it was like around 12-13 years ago. This was like one of the first original E-Stalking stories online of, people who stalk people they have a crush on or whatever, relentlessly, never stop, no matter no matter the lack of reciprocation from the other person. Maybe they just continue to go with it, and this was like one of the original stories way back then on people who stalk other people they have a crush on and stuff online, and then eventually they take it to in person, which is what happened in this case, actually. And I'm sure a lot of people out there might remember this one. If you can tell by this face right here, you remember this. This video in particular was the one that was blowing up the most.
I've been sent on a mission to make Kristen Pratt feel warm and fuzzy.
And this was the actual original one I saw, and I'm like, this guy looks really unhinged and just completely unhealthy, and like he belongs in a psych ward or something. Which, I mean, he's not really out in the public anymore, I don't think, because of just his insane behavior. But from what I've read, how this all started was, they actually did talk. This Patrick guy actually did talk with this girl for a little bit. And, they didn't really have much of a conversation. It was just about, oh yeah, I thought you were in one of my classes, which is what Patrick said to this girl. He said, oh yeah, we had a class together, and from what I've read, I don't think they actually ever did, or at least not from what she claims. But, the conversation ended there, and then he continued to, try and contact her and everything, like, hey, where are you at, and all this stuff. And then, of course, as how these things usually go, it intensified over time to video messages on YouTube and Facebook and everything. His entire internet history was basically dedicated to trying to get this girl's attention, and the videos just got worse and worse and worse over time. And I actually saw a news report on this so long ago. I remembered it still to this day because it was frightening. It was very concerning, and I think anyone that watched this video was probably like, yeah, this guy's a little bit concerning. And this was, one of the ones that was apparently found in the guy's camera after, he was caught red-handed stalking this girl by a police officer, because he had taken his camera and found all these really concerning, just unhinged videos of him just, being like, oh yeah, I want you to come see me, and I want to come to your house, just give me one night, and all this stuff. And, of course he was even sexual about it online and everything. He was so, caught up in trying to get this girl's attention, and the police officer had found a camera from this guy and found it really concerning, as well as probably almost anyone that came across these videos probably would, including myself. I was like, this guy is kind of a lunatic, honestly, and I think he belongs in a psych ward, to be quite honest. And he later on became one of the most infamous e-stalkers on the internet for this. And of course, as unfortunate of a situation as it is for the girl that he was stalking and everything, it's good to see something actually came of this, because the police didn't do anything originally at first because of the fact that it wasn't yet taken to an in-person level, but eventually it was, because he had apparently taken some pictures or video or something like that of the girl's workplace, and then, that kind of drew attention to the police more, and then he got caught red-handed stalking the girl. I think he went to her workplace or something like that time as well, and he got caught and everything, and that's when the camera got found and all that, and that's when things started to get worse for him. And even after he got his first charge, he still continued to go with it, and then he served some time in prison. So you know, it's good that he was restrained from actually getting in contact with this girl, considering how unhealthy it clearly was, you know. But it's good that, you know, stuff like this is taken more seriously now, because it really wasn't at the time, because they consider, oh, it's just online stuff, it's not really taken in person. But it actually did get taken into person, and, you know, you could kind of tell just by watching these videos that this guy has a lot wrong with him, and, you know, he probably needs some sort of help, or to be restrained from trying to get in contact with this person before it gets worse. And it could very well have gotten worse than this too, if nothing would have been done, you know. It could have resulted in an ending of the girl, actually, you know. Who knows? But, you know, it seemed very concerning watching these videos. So it's like, you know, kind of sad on one hand and kind of a good thing on the other, this whole story, really, because it did bring awareness to people who stalk people they have a crush on online and stuff, even though, you know, the other person is clearly not interested, doesn't want to talk to the person. They made it clear they don't want to talk to the person, but, you know, they just continue and continue and continue, and to the point where they bring it into in-person, and, you know, like showing up at their house randomly, like trying to go to their workplace to harass them, you know, unwarranted and stuff like that, you know. Like, I'm glad this brought awareness to stuff like that, because, you know, some people just get way too obsessed with other people that, you know, they don't really even know that well. And, you know, a lot of us, you know, get infatuated for sure, like, with a person at one point in life. All of us have, but, you know, when it gets to this level, it's like you kind of need a little bit of help, you know what I mean? Like, this is way unhealthy, you know, like, you're taking things to a whole other level when you go this far, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta have some sort of boundaries, you know? And there were a few others that were like this during the time, but I remember this one was the one that really blew up the most, just because of how crazy the videos were that he was putting out and everything, and his behavior in them. And just by the look in his eyes, you can tell he's kind of a lunatic in a lot of these videos, especially the most infamous one, which is the one I saw first actually in this news report from years ago. I don't know if I could find the video, the news report, but, you know, it's out there somewhere probably. I don't remember what news source posted it, but I remember seeing it way back then, just randomly coming across it in my YouTube recommendations. I'm like, wow, this guy is one of the most unhinged dudes I think I've ever seen on the internet, trying to stalk a girl or whatever, you know? Like, what the hell, man? But at least some justice got brought to this whole thing, because it clearly was being taken way too far. It was flat out harassment, you know, it was flat out stalking, and just flat out insane behavior that needed some sort of restraint. So I'm glad that happened. And as for how this guy is now, I have no idea. You know, maybe he's gotten better over time, maybe he's learned from this whole thing. At least I hope that this kind of behavior is really unhealthy. You know, this isn't one of the worst people I've ever seen. I mean, the videos were really concerning, I'm not gonna lie, and some of the things he did were very shitty, but, like, I mean, it was a long time ago, so maybe he's gotten better since. I have no idea. I haven't looked into him recently. I don't encourage any harassment towards this dude or anything, because, you know, especially considering how long ago this was, you know. But this is just meant to, you know, spread awareness about this kind of behavior more, and, you know, just talk about how behavior like this, you know, is kind of brought into, I don't know, I guess you could call it a more aware sense, where, you know, you kind of look at certain things more and you're like, yeah, that's kind of concerning, like, this doesn't seem like a joke. I mean, it is the internet, but, like, sometimes you can really tell with certain things what's a joke and what's not, and this clearly wasn't a joke. It was a whole stalking campaign, flat out, especially considering the fact that he literally went to the girl's place of work during the time, you know, like, that's just flat out stalking. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's beyond concerning, you know. So that's pretty much all I got for this video. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this whole story, and, you know, I hope this guy's doing better now. Like I said, you know, I don't wish the worst upon him. I mean, I'm glad he got accountability or you know, consequences for this sort of thing. You know, I hope he learned his lesson to not go to these lengths over someone. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for now. I will catch you guys later, and I hope this video sounded better too. I did get a new mic, by the way, if you couldn't tell. This thing works a lot better. It doesn't malfunction and, you know, become all staticky, it seems like my other mic did. So other than that, I will catch you guys later. Peace out.